This is going to be a look at some Ravens defense film, primarily focusing on the front six or front seven guys. I'm going to try to package this film in terms of players in order by progression of plays as they occurred during the game. So we'll kind of skip around, to be honest with you. Generally going to focus on six guys. I'll make mention of a couple of other guys. We're not going to really focus on Marlon Humphrey, Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Peters, guys who played extremely well in the defensive backfield, to be honest with you. Going to focus on Calais Campbell, Justin Houston, JPP, Tyus Bowser, Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, to a lesser extent, Broderick Washington, maybe mention Justin Matabike a couple of times. Anybody who can identify the players in the picture there and or identify the group that picture is based on, let me know in the comment section. You get a free invite to the Ravens Community Discord, whether you're a channel member or a Patreon supporter or not. That'll be to the first person that identifies it as this video live streams or as this video premieres. So having said all that, let's get to the video. Let's get to the film. And we're going to talk about Calais Campbell first. I felt like the veterans for the Ravens played extremely well. Calais lined up in a 1. This is our nickel look. Actually, it's a pass rush look with JPP, Houston, Bowser, and Calais Campbell on the field here. I just love the effort. I mean, first of all, I love this strategy by the Ravens. Houston, our best pass rusher. JPP, who's had moments of being really effective. Calais Campbell, who's still a monster. And Tyus Bowser, who's fresh, hasn't played a lot in the last year, and is ready to attack. Houston and Bowser kind of are the guys that attack. I think Houston actually makes contact with Mayfield here. And then Calais Campbell's the guy who gets the quarterback pressure as Baker Mayfield throws it away. We've gotten tremendous traction out of our veterans, if you ask me. This play is unique. I'm not sure that everyone can pull this off. Part of it is strength. Part of it is awareness, veteran savvy, and just the length to be able to pull this move off. Kind of a wax on, wax off move by Calais Campbell with his right arm. You see him chop down with his right arm. Almost giving up his chest a little bit, but he's so strong. And he's planning on sidestepping here with his right foot once he clubs with that same arm that he just kind of slapped down with. And you can see how he broke the posture of the right guard easily. Gets a sack for a loss of 9. It's a beautiful move. I'm not sure that that's a move that can be used as an edge rusher, as a 5 technique, a 9 technique, like Justin Houston is here. But for a 1 technique or a 3, I think this is tremendously effective. You can see the hand chopping down on the right guard's left hand. The right guard smartly pulled his left hand back. Still had his posture broken a little bit here, and then completely destroyed by the swat with the inside hand by Campbell. Elite move, especially for a guy of his age. Tremendously effective, if you ask me. All 22 of you of the same play, just so you can see that it's a 4-man rush. This is after Kyle Hamilton's been hurt, because you see Marlon is in the slot and Brandon Stevens is the corner on the right-hand side. Marcus Peters still the corner on the left. There's Calais Campbell swatting or clubbing with the right hand, slapping the guard out and completing the play. One thing to say about JPP, and we'll mention a couple of plays here later about him, is when he's not winning or getting to the quarterback, you can see he's getting his hand up in the air in the potential windows for the quarterback to throw the football. I feel like that's something that this Ravens D-line is doing this year 50 to 70% more than we ever did in 2021, 2020, or maybe even 2019. I don't pretend to remember 2019 in terms of us getting our hands up and getting in the way of passing lanes. But to me, it seems like it's happening a whole hell of a lot more this year. All right, next guy, another veteran, Justin Houston. I think this is a split sack with Patrick Queen. And I love how Queen and Roquan Smith celebrate here. Kind of goes unsaid who they're running into. I don't think it was planned, but sometimes karma and things happen the way they do. Here is Houston attacking off the edge. Queen attacking the running back, and then Roquan Smith on the delayed blitz. In this case, it happens to be Queen who beats the running back. Houston who finally digs his way around the right tackle, and they split a sack. I think that gives Queen 4 sacks for the year, and I think 9 for Justin Houston, but I could be wrong. End zone angle, same play. We're focusing on Houston here because we're going to focus on Queen a little bit later. This is going to be a long video, to be honest with you. It's going to be like 8 or 9 plays from from Queen at the end of it. You can see the running back has stepped up, tried to front Queen. Smith is filling in late, and Houston is just doing what he does. Winning around. Sometimes it's a clean win instantly, and sometimes it's just a fight to scrape past that tackle. In this case, Houston does so, picks up a half sack. We're getting tremendous production from our veterans, Campbell, Houston, JPP, who I'll show here in a moment. I think this is a run play for Houston, and Broderick Washington make the tackle combined. Houston's getting the field a little bit. Watch how he's breaking the posture now with his outside arm on the right arm of the right tackle. And then just shucks past him with the right arm, with the inside arm, lifting it up. Slaps down with his outside hand, breaks the posture, lifts up with his inside arm, keeping his eyes on the running back, closes in the running back from the backside. Him and Broderick Washington there to make a tackle for loss. I believe it was a tackle for loss. By the way, on this play, check out Patrick Queen and former Raven Bosman, the center. Basically a hip toss by Queen. I guess this is a 2-0 lead for Queen now in the first period if it's a wrestling match, because he gets the takedown, ends up on top. A little bit of extracurricular activity. Nothing wrong with that. All 22, same play. And you see Houston closing down from the backside. We were in attack mode with the front 5 in this game. I felt like they were getting upfield, getting across the line of scrimmage. I guess you can do that when the quarterback is no run threat. There's no threat of the quarterback keeping the football. Okay, I think now we're going to focus on JPP. I really like this stance from him. In a run situation, he's got tight end nobody, meaning there's a tight end here, and there's no one outside of him. Why is that? Well, because there's trips to the other side of the field. And one running back. And the quarterback makes 5. Right, so the tight end makes 6. Nobody else outside the tight end. We would call it nub. Some people call it tight end nobody. In any case, it's a stretch concept to his side. Tight end goes out for the corner, which is Brandon Stephens. And JPP wins against a rookie first-round pick quite easily, if you ask me, for a tackle for loss. I understand that JPP occasionally doesn't look super explosive compared to the guy that we have seen, but there's been situations, games, where he's been quite productive for us. I have no complaints for him being on the field more than Odafe Oweh in certain situations. Yes, Odafe Oweh is our first-round pick. We want to see him produce. We know that he's capable. To me, if it doesn't light a fire under Odafe Oweh to get on the field and be a little bit more precise, a little bit more destructive with his moves, when he's held off the field in pass rush situations in lieu of JPP, then so be it. JPP in here lined up as a 3 technique. I think he gets a sack. This is somewhat similar to stuff the Ravens had done in the past. Bowser is going to be lined up on the outside. He's going to stem underneath. JPP delayed a little bit to the outside. And I think we've got an outside rusher blitzing off the edge. So just a cool way to try to take advantage of the running back being on the opposite side. It's Marlon Humphrey late in the game on the blitz. JPP I believe he thought Marlon Humphrey had the sack. Marlon was unable to finish it off, which would have been amazing. Would have given him a fumble recovery, an interception, and a sack in the same game. I feel like Marlon needs those things in order to get the All-Pro designation that he deserves. He is an All-Pro. I don't give a shit if they actually award it to him or not. People still have the Bengals game from Week 7 in their mind last year, or the late game situation against the Raiders in Week 1. Marlon Humphrey is an All-Pro. Whether he gets that designation or not doesn't matter to me. Same play. JPP is then here, 3-point stance. Here's Marlon on the blitz. Gets first contact, and JPP finishes it off. Some sacks are like this. I think that gives him 3 in his time with the Ravens. I could be wrong. All right, we're going to get 3 plays from Tyus Bowser consecutively. I think this is a bootleg on the first play where he expertly collisions the tight end, running the hide concept, and jumps up in the air to get in the way of or interfere with the possible passing lane. There he is collisioning the tight end who came from the other side of the field. What I mean is this tight end initially was over here. I'll pull this back so you can see it. This is the tight end that's going to run out into the flats. Bowser's going to collision him somewhere around in here and then jump, elevate to get in the way of Baker Mayfield trying to throw the football to that tight end or possibly to someone downfield. You can see him elevated, and now Baker Mayfield's got to go to the front side tight end, number 80, for a short gain. Roquan Smith makes a tackle. Actually going to show you this one from the All-22 as a play to illustrate how Roquan Smith played. Another thing I think we should mention is Patrick Queen is playing at an extremely high level. He's going to cover this over concept, over route by DJ Moore. So he's going to step with the play action, the run fake, and then run underneath of this. This is just fundamental. It looks like Josh Bynes. Looks like something Josh Bynes would do to me. Turn his back. Turn his face mask. Look at his face mask now. Face mask pointing this way. Back. Numbers pointed towards the quarterback. Why? Because he understands the threat. If it's a run threat to this side, the over concept is going to come from the other side. Just classically trained linebacker play. We didn't get this last year from Rob Ryan's inside linebackers until Josh Bynes showed up. In this case, we're getting this already. End zone angle, same play. Bowser right there, going to collision this tight end, running across the formation. Post snap. There you see the collision by Bowser, but still keeping his eyes on the quarterback and keeping his posture, keeping his feet, keeping his balance to be able to elevate and get in the passing lane. Nice job by Baker Mayfield, don't get me wrong. Going to what could possibly be his 3rd or 4th option. Again, check out Patrick Queen. Underneath of the over concept by DJ Moore, blanketing that would be option 3 if you ask me. Whereas option 1 would be this tight end on the high concept. Potentially there is a route off screen down by the bottom of the numbers here that Marcus Peters has released to the safety. Could be option 2 or 3, as it is completion to option 4. Second play, that same possession, Bowser's on the same side. It's a run concept. Once Roquan Smith fills inside the C gap, look at Bowser battling the tight end, trying to condense that gap, meaning holding the D gap, which is here, and then trying to hopefully compress this C gap down. Doesn't really compress that gap down much here, but once Roquan Smith fills the C gap, the running back, in this case Foreman, bounces it, and Bowser's right there for the tackle. 2 consecutive plays shows you his versatility, shows you how multiple he is. Third play, 3rd down and 6, I believe. 3rd down and 8, excuse me. Here's Bowser. He's going to cover the tight end now. The same guy who tried to block him on a previous play, now Bowser's going to get physical with him. Nowhere to throw the football on a 3rd and 8. They're clamoring for a pass interference. That's just good physical play, if you ask me, by Bowser. And again, look, he's got hands on the guy on the outside leverage, and he's keeping his eyes in the backfield to see if there's anything else developing, a screen, whatever. Great coverage. That's what Bowser can do, particularly to the boundary. If you don't remember last year, he actually had the coverage on the last play of the game against the Browns at home, our 16-10 win in Baltimore. He actually had the coverage on the 4th down to seal that game as well. Somewhat similar concept. All right, that's 3 plays in a row from Bowser. We've now talked about Campbell, Houston, JPP, and Bowser. Again, if you didn't catch it in the beginning, if you joined late, if you can identify the players that are shown there in that picture from left to right, let's do it that way, and or the reference that we're making with this title. Again, I don't make these graphics. I'm not that talented at all. I can make some rudimentary graphics. You can probably tell who the real graphics Yoda is versus when I make a graphic for a video. I'm sure you can tell this is pretty elite. If you can do either one of those things, name the players that are there from left to right, and or name the reference that we're making, or the CD cover that we're referencing, or the song that we're referencing, let me know. I'll give you a free invite to the Ravens Discord channel that we've got set up that's got about 67 people in it right now. All right, so moving on to Roquan Smith. Man, Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen look like they've been playing together for years. Two SEC guys at inside linebacker. Extremely fast, very decisive. Right now, they look well coordinated. Let's focus on Smith for a couple of plays before we get to Patrick Queen. This is going to be kind of a long video for real. I was trying to get this in under 30 minutes. It's going to be close. The one thing about Smith and Queen that's happening now is if their initial reaction isn't giving them an opportunity to make the play, they're able to redirect, or they're able to stay square and in good leverage position. So when the running back does bounce it, like here, or he's closed off by the interior D lineman, these guys are able to clean things up. I feel like Queen and Smith are playing at a super high level. You know, are they the best linebacker tandem in the league? Let's save that. Me personally, I'm going to save that conversation for after we win a Super Bowl. For real. Kind of an exchange here by Queen and Smith, but I don't know that this is intentional. Queen walks up and ends up, I think, getting pinned to this side of a blocker. And then what's going to happen is Smith is going to fold over the top. This is like the third time I have seen them do this. Any linebacker duo can do this, don't get me wrong. But these two seem like this is happening naturally. And I'm not sure why that is. It appears as if there is no distrust. There's been no plays happen yet to cause these guys to not trust each other. So 2 run plays. I think this is the hide concept where I talked about Bowser collisioning this tight end running across. But for this play, check out Roquan Smith. Look at what he's doing. Look where his face mask is looking. He's looking here right now. He may be reading this. Okay, so he steps with the line. What I'm talking about is all the line is working this way. The running back is working this way. You can see the quarterback's back is here. So it makes sense that you would get that type of boot off of it, regardless of whether the ball is given. Roquan Smith is just on the inside hip of the tight end. So it's not like he's lost a whole lot of leverage in terms of trying to get to this sideline, right-hand side of our screen, the left-hand side of the left shoulder of Roquan Smith. And once Bowser redirects this guy, that's going to allow Smith to catch up. I think it's only a 4-yard gain. That's coordination, if you ask me, somewhat similar to an NBA defense, passing off people from one zone to another. Same play, all 22 angle. Focus on Smith this time. I know this is now the 4th time you've seen this. Smith is on the inside hip of this guy running the hide concept. Additionally, you've got the corner, Marcus Peters, who's able to close down. It forces Baker Mayfield to go to what I believe is the 4th option on this play. Still ends up being a 4-yard gain. Credit to Baker Mayfield. Credit to our guys for closing off multiple front side options. I think he gets a sack here. Kind of a cheapie, don't get me wrong. Baker Mayfield's going to scramble outside to the left side of the offense, right-hand side of the defense, top side of our screen. Roquan Smith just gets hands on him as he goes out of bounds on a 1st and 10. Gets credit for a sack. Hey, man, nobody ever complains when TJ Watt gets 24 sacks. How many of those were, quote, cheapies? How many of those were ones where someone else made the play and he got credit for it? All right, let's move on a little bit, and this is going to be the end point of this video. I did a Patrick Queen film study last week. How many times can you do a film study on the same player consecutively? I would feel like I was stealing you guys' time if I did another film study on Patrick Queen, but he deserves it. 12 tackles this game, right? Was it 9 solo? Something like that? And his tackling has immediately improved. It seems like Patrick Queen is a guy who gets better as the year progresses. Look at the fit here. When I say the fit, I mean, you're going to get a pulling lineman, okay? And watch how Queen fits inside the first puller. So when I say that, here's the first puller, the right guard. He's going to fit inside of this. That's perfect, man. Some people would teach the front side inside linebacker to fit outside the first puller and the second guy to fit inside the second, in between the two pullers. I like it better the way we're doing it here. All right, so Queen here on our left this time. Looks like 12 personnel. Tight end on the Panthers' right. Tight end on the Panthers' left. It looks like Tyus Bowser's communicating something. Run away from him. Roquan makes first contact in the backfield. Queen finishes it off. You are going to get the end zone angle of this, just so you know. Watch the decisiveness of Roquan Smith and the angle of Patrick Queen. These are perfect angles. This is the type of angles you see in preseason drills where there's no O-lineman and you just got cones set up for the linebackers. What I mean by that is these are the types of angles that appear to be a little unrealistic preseason, but now Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen are showing them against NFL offensive lines. Stretch play, I believe, to our right, like a toss stretch. Pin pull. So they're pinning down, and I think pulling both of these guys. I will call this just toss stretch, but it's a pin pull blocking scheme. Roquan Smith fits it. Wish he could have finished that off for his statistics. But as it is, it ends up benefiting Patrick Queen. Awesome pursuit. Those guys' speed is just unique. Their speed is just very unique, if you ask me. You know, I'm a huge Josh Bynes fan, but there is no comparison about the speed that we have. And then the tackling. I feel like Patrick Queen's tackling is leveled up. And it seemed to me as if it did this last year, too. As if his tackling did this last year, too, in 2021. Plays through contact better. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a huge fan of us being hooked here and then us fighting here. There's a big gap between those two guys, meaning Bowser and I think that's Urban there. I could be wrong. It might not be Urban. No, it's not Urban. It's Broderick Washington. But as it is, Patrick Queen goes to the downside here. So he's playing through contact better in terms of there's a blocker who's making contact with him, but he's able to keep his eyes on the back and redirect and make the tackle. Very short gain. Roquan Smith there, obviously, as well. Never fails. Let me know if you're as impressed with Queen. I just feel like we're getting such great play. Communication, pre-snap. You can see him and Stone are communicating something. You'll get the all-22 angle from this for this play in a moment, and you'll see multiple guys communicating. This is Baker Mayfield scrambling out to the edge. Queen gets credit for the tackle. You're going to get the all-22. Watch the communication between Queen, Stone, and I think this safety here, which I believe is Chuck Clark. What are they communicating? I think they're communicating that they know it's pass. I'll pull this back in a second so you can see it. I'll explain why. The Buffalo Bills do this too. When the Bills put a tight end and a halfback on the same side like this, in this stacked or sniffer position, it's 100% pass. Damn near 100% pass. And if it ain't, it's draw. I think that's what they're communicating. Letting each other know that it's pass. I wish Queen didn't take this one more step into the middle of the field, because if he didn't, then he's going to go ahead and tackle Baker Mayfield right around the 20 or maybe the 19. But he had taken a step in here, required him to redirect and run down Mayfield, hold him to a short gain on a third down, force a field goal. Let me know if you're as impressed with Patrick Queen lately. I feel like we're seeing Patrick Queen level up twice, maybe 3 times, in terms of he's improved again after the first 5 or 6 games in every aspect of the game. Most of this that I'm showing you is run stuff. You're going to get a pass play here coming up soon on a 3rd and long, I believe. I think I'll show you the end zone angle of this one. To me, this looks like Queen on the give to the running back. It looks like Queen is setting the running back up. Let me move in this direction so that you, the running back, cut it back, and then I know I'm forcing the fit, which is basically inside C gap. You got a down block combo between the left tackle and the left guard. I feel like Queen is almost enticing the running back to bring it back to that C gap so he can make the tackle. When you get the end zone angle, hopefully you'll see it, and understand what I'm saying. How much of that happens, I don't know. I've never been anywhere near this level, but to me it looks like Queen is staying square, understands that out of this nickel look, there's almost an extra gap to deal with. I'll pull it back here to the pre-snap alignment so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, in the box right now, you got 6. The quarterback is 7. All right, the running back is 8. In the box for us right now, we got 6. All right, hopefully I did my math there. Let's do the gaps. 2 A gaps, 2 B gaps, 2 C gaps, D gap to the outside. By my math, I missed the B gap here, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7 gaps, and we only got 6 players. So somebody has got to be a 2-gap guy. In this case, it ends up being Queen, flashing to the front side, meaning flashing here, and then once the running back cuts it back, since he's square, boom, he's just going to jump back into the C gap. Houston holding his D gap, trying to compress the tight end down. Didn't really get much compression. But we got enough that Queen could fit back inside there easily with his athleticism, his tackling, and his talent. It seems like he's leveled up twice, for real. Seems like he's leveled up. This is a 4th and long maybe. Good tackle. This almost looks like he's pulling guard in the UFC. I can hear one of our coaches now, and a guy that I coached with a little bit when I got older, who was still around, calling this catching, meaning you're the tackler and you're catching the ball carrier. I think that is catching. But it's a sure tackle, at least. One of his 12 tackles on the day. I feel like we're just getting a great performance from Patrick Queen every week, adding little elements to his game, meaning adding little things that he shows us that he's capable of. Patrick Queen, Roquan Smith, Bowser, JPP, Houston, Campbell, to a lesser extent, Broderick Washington. I think Justin Madubuike had 2 nice plays, even though I don't know that he came away from this game with any tackles at all, to be honest with you. I didn't really dedicate any of this film study toward Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Peters, or Marlon Humphrey at all. To be honest with you, man, these guys have taken ownership of this defense in the front 6 or front 7 in recent weeks. I know the Saints scored 2 touchdowns against us. I know the Bucs scored 22, including, I think, 10 points in the last 6.5, 7 minutes. I feel like we were playing very soft coverages against the Bucs late in the game. It would be very realistic for me to say that we could have given up 14 or 17 points to the Bucs in normal circumstances. If the game was a little bit more competitive, I know there was an onside kick near the end. Let me know if you guys appreciate the breakdown, if you think I've missed any elements. Hopefully you guys appreciate the graphics. Like the dude that's making these graphics just hits home runs every time I ask him to do something. I am not capable of any of this at all. Let me know if you appreciate the breakdown, if you think I missed any elements. I did a separate Kyle Hamilton film study. I'm going to do another one, hopefully Wednesday afternoon, on Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters. It feels like 2019 again watching those guys. For real. It does. Marcus Peters is a guy that I hope gets to 100% health because he's he reminds me of a guy from the 80s named Doug Kingman. I think it was Doug Kingman, who would hit like 220 every year for a batting average in Major League Baseball, but he would hit 40 bombs. Marcus Peters in some ways reminds me of that, except he would have like 30 stolen bases too, because Marcus Peters doesn't just get picks. He also forces fumbles or gets fumbles recovered. He's a turnover machine. I think it was Ken Matusak from Film Study Ravens on Twitter said he's a turnover machine. This is a very highly charged defense we have right now. If Kyle Hamilton, Marcus Williams can return at any point during this regular season, I think this is the type of defense that gives us a chance to beat anyone in the league. I mean in the AFC or in the NFC in the Super Bowl. This, to me, looks like that level of defense, especially if Marcus Peters is able to continue to look a little bit more healthy with every week. I think early in the year, even though he had a 3 turnover game against the Patriots in week 3, which was his second game back. I understand that. I feel like he has slowly started to look closer to 100% in terms of his stickiness and coverage. He's always been a handsy corner when matched up against number one receivers, and I like that. I like the unwillingness to forego physicality. Nothing needs to be said about Marlon Humphrey at this point, nor Kyle Hamilton. Clean, precise, correct leverage side, almost in every case. Great coverage, great tacklers, physical, which just fits with the front 6, 7 that I kind of highlighted here. Let me know if you guys appreciate the breakdown, who you think really stood out. It's tough, man, for me to identify one guy that stood out besides Queen with the 12 tackles, because everybody on this defense can make plays, for real. Everybody can make plays. I know Chuck Clark had a rough day. Other than that, everybody looked like they were playing at a really high level against this Panthers team that had rushed for 638 yards in the previous 4 games, and they got 36 in Baltimore against the Ravens D. I think that's significant. Let me know if you still want to try to ID the players that are shown in this pick and or the origin or the reference that we're making. And if you think there's any missing elements from my film study, let me know. Appreciate you guys' time.